Evolving trends, modern appetites, and dietary concerns have all conspired against it, but Ambrosia salad still has a fascinating and fruity story to tell. Ambrosia salad enjoyed its heyday in the 20th century, and its many iterations reflected some of the emerging innovations in the culinary world of the time. Its popularity really took off in the 1920s, when Philadelphia-based confectionery Stephen F. Whitman & Son paid food columnists to subtly advertise its newly invented marshmallow whip. The company secured rave reviews from trusted sources, and recipes for Ambrosia salad that included the marshmallow substance began appearing in the newspapers. By the time that individually shaped marshmallows hit the scene in the same decade, the flavor was inextricably linked to the dish. Over time, home cooks started incorporating modern additions such as condensed milk and fruit-flavored gelatin, but Cool Whip was the one that really stuck. Created by General Foods in 1966, this extra fluffy alternative to homemade whipped cream saved time and had a sugary flavor all its own. It quickly became the foundation for other sweet salads of the era, and it was a natural fit for Ambrosia. All the way up through the 1980s, this decadent dish could be found in many Southern households.
Cool Whip? Cool Whip, yeah. You mean Cool Whip? Yeah, Cool Whip.
Ambrosia salad may have peaked in the 20th century, but its story begins even earlier. The first ambrosia recipe is attributed to a North Carolina author whose 1867 cookbook, Dixie Cookery, a practical cookbook for Southern housekeepers, contains just 3.5 lines of text under the heading Ambrosia. It's a bare-bones recipe that only involves grated coconut, sugar, and pulped oranges. Aside from the omission of cream, it sets out the basic components of what the dish would become. One of the reasons ambrosia salad may have been so popular in the latter half of the 19th century was that its ingredients were exciting and new. Recently built railroads connected Florida, the orange-growing capital of the United States, with the rest of the country. They also ferried coconuts across the U.S. from California, where they were delivered on ships from the Pacific Islands and South America. A salad made of oranges, sugar, and grated coconut may not sound particularly adventurous nowadays, but in post-Civil War America, its flavors were exotic symbols of the country's new culinary variety. Then in the 1880s, the introduction of tropical pineapple added an extra layer of exotic allure. Cream was soon added, possibly to counterbalance the fruit's tanginess. One reason for ambrosia salad falling out of favor may be that its once novel ingredients are now easily accessible. Oranges, coconuts, and pineapples can now be found pretty much everywhere. Even marshmallows were exotic in the early 20th century. And when pre-whipped toppings like Cool Whip hit grocery store shelves in the 1960s, there was something deliciously modern about throwing together a colorful dessert with nothing but pre-packaged items. But nowadays, you can walk into a name-brand grocery store and find the likes of acai, halloumi, matcha, and all manner of ingredients that originate from other countries. By comparison, fruit salad with cream just isn't all that exciting anymore, especially when most of the ingredients come from a can. Ambrosia salad is often served at buffet-style holiday parties. This makes it easier to gloss over the fact that there's no consensus about whether it's a dessert or a side dish. Is it a decadent alternative to cranberry sauce that belongs next to the turkey, or a colorful dessert that belongs next to the pumpkin pie and the Yule log? Neither of these options is fully satisfying. Cranberry sauce works well with savory flavors because its tartness is a natural palate cleanser that cuts through the richness of the rest of the meal. Ambrosia is sickly sweet in comparison, and the creamy sauce provides no contrast to the creaminess of mashed potatoes and gravy. But if you try to make it a dessert, ambrosia has too much cream and sugar to qualify as a healthy alternative to pie and cake. And its resemblance to a fruit salad prevents it from being a satisfying guilty pleasure. In short, it's a tough dish to categorize, and no matter where you place it in the buffet, someone is going to end up feeling shortchanged.
I noticed that you have not tasted any of the ambrosia salad that I made especially for you.
Marshmallows, coconut, pineapple chunks, mandarin oranges, and cream are the basic ingredients in ambrosia salad. If that doesn't immediately make you start salivating, you're not alone. At first glance, this ingredient list raises a few questions. Is this salad watery from the fruit juice? Does the whipped cream deflate and harden? Is the coconut adding any flavor, or does it just increase the chewing time? The answers depend on the recipe and preparation. If you don't drain the fruit thoroughly, it can lead to an unappetizing puddle at the bottom of the bowl. If there isn't enough whipped cream or the cream is over-whipped, it can harden into a dense, stale coating. And depending on how you feel about coconut, that added texture might be a nuisance rather than a delightful contrast. The components of ambrosia salad are simply not obviously harmonious on paper, which might prevent those who haven't tried it from giving it a whirl. With the right proportion of ingredients, it can be greater than the sum of its parts, but a big leap of faith is required to give it a try in the first place. In the middle of the 20th century, Americans had what can be considered an anything-goes approach to food. Jell-O, Spam, and imitation cheese were all thought to be fit for human consumption. But the 1980s put an end to all that. Saturated fat and natural sugars were out, while aerobics and bran flakes were in. This seismic shift was partly due to the government's introduction of dietary goals in 1977. In the interest of reducing heart disease, the guidelines urged Americans to eat less fat. Its claims that fat was inherently bad for health have since been debunked, but the damage was done, as grocery stores soon overflowed with fat-free diet foods. Products that had once delighted consumers, like whipped cream, canned fruit, and desiccated coconut, were thrown out in favor of Snackwells, Splenda, and fat-free Cool Whip. During this era, the creamy, sugary decadence of ambrosia salad was more of an embarrassing reminder of an uninformed past than a symbol of the health-conscious present. If you look at the ingredient list of maraschino cherries and Cool Whip, you'll probably notice a big red flag in the form of high-fructose corn syrup. In the 1970s, the cost of cane sugar and sugar beets was skyrocketing due to tariffs and quotas that the U.S. government imposed on international imports. With a sharp increase in demand for sugar, American manufacturers started looking for a cheap alternative. High-fructose corn syrup, a newly discovered chemical conversion of the glucose in cornstarch to fructose, was their saving grace. But then in the early 2000s, research began to quell the frenzied demand for this cheap sugar alternative. As it turned out, high-fructose corn syrup increases your appetite, triggers cholesterol production, and compromises the intestinal lining. Between 2003 and 2008, Americans' consumption of corn syrup fell 11%. The sweetener became such a pariah that in 2010, the Corn Refiners Association unsuccessfully petitioned the Food and Drug Administration to rename high-fructose corn syrup as corn sugar. This dawning awareness of the drawbacks of the ingredient may have contributed to the decline of ambrosia salad and other foods that contain a lot of it. Ambrosia salad used to appeal to the newfound joys of culinary convenience. The availability of pre-whipped cream, pulped oranges, and pre-shredded coconut meant that housewives could easily whip up a batch of this fluffy dish in just a few minutes. How these previously perishable ingredients could suddenly now have an indefinite shelf life was secondary to how much they transformed home cooking. But over time, consumers started asking questions about processed food, and many of them didn't like the answers. Ultra-processed foods are made of ingredients that you're unlikely to use at home, such as preservatives, colorings, and all those unpronounceable words on the back of packages. Their raw materials undergo a dizzying number of phases that drain them of their nutrients. Consequently, ultra-processed foods have been linked to heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, causing many consumers to seek more wholesome alternatives. For anyone trying to avoid these ingredients, ambrosia salad is now off the table.
Bye-bye.
Although ambrosia salad was adored by home cooks across the country in the 1800s, it's nowadays found mostly in the South. The fact that oranges were grown largely in Florida during this period and were therefore readily available in the region may be a factor, but there's no single reason for this shift. Culinary trends may also bear some responsibility. In the early 1900s, ambrosia salad started to be labeled as a Southern dish. This was also a time when an influx of immigrants to major U.S. cities was bringing new flavors and cooking styles that diverted tastes away from popular 19th century fare. Then in the 1960s, celebrity chefs like Julia Child and Jacques Pepin brought French cooking to the attention of the masses. Suddenly, homegrown dishes like ambrosia salad couldn't compete with the sophistication of something like creme brulee. Although none of these factors can fully explain the association that grew between ambrosia salad and the South, they all likely played a role. And even as Southern food has seen a spike in popularity in recent decades, ambrosia salad still maintains a vanishingly low profile outside the region. If you saw ambrosia salad on a food-themed dating app, you almost certainly wouldn't swipe right. It offers neither the obvious visual appeal of a molten chocolate lava cake nor the complexity of a many-layered parfait. Instead, it's a shapeless, fluffy mass punctuated by mostly unidentifiable lumps. So unless you already knew what you're getting, you'd probably take a hard pass.
It's like thanks, but no thanks.
Living in the 21st century means that we're constantly bombarded with meticulously staged images of food. A 2017 poll found that 69% of millennials take a photo or video of their meals before eating. Simply put, we can't get enough pictures of unicorn frappuccinos or strawberry glazed donuts. Ambrosia salad, on the other hand, isn't exactly winning any social media beauty contests. Perhaps if someone made a version of ambrosia salad with distinct layers of glistening fruit and creamy Cool Whip to show off its ingredients, it might become more popular. But in its classic guise, it lacks the vibrancy, definition, and camera-ready drama that we've come to expect from our desserts. It may be delicious, but that hardly matters when you require a lavish photograph before digging in. Retro foods are constantly being reinvented and reintroduced to new generations of eaters, as up-and-coming cooks are full of innovative ideas for reimagining old favorites. But ambrosia salad remains hopelessly dated. There's no corner of social media dedicated to a matcha version or a recent cookbook full of fresh variations on the classic recipe. You're much more likely to find this salad on the menu of a retro 50s diner than the latest culinary hotspot in a major city. Like other dessert salads from the 70s, such as Watergate salad or cranberry fluff, ambrosia is resolutely stuck in the 20th century. That doesn't mean that it completely lacks any appeal. On the contrary, its old-fashioned charm is what makes it such a nostalgic dish for many, and its sweet creaminess and bursts of tropical flavor hit all the right notes when you're looking for an unexpected alternative to cake or ice cream. All of those factors make it ripe for reinvention. It may not be destined for the meteoric rise of cronuts or cloud bread, but in its own quiet way, ambrosia salad is just waiting for a new wave of chefs to discover it.